What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and I'm going to start off the day with an update on JD's case against the UK newspaper that said horrible things about him. I want to start by thanking everybody for a wonderful October. The channel did just amazing things. The last week of the month, there's something going on with YouTube, which I'm going to make a video about later today, which seems to be corroborated by several other independent creators of varying political leanings in this space. We'll talk about that. But for now, please make sure that you're still subscribed. And if you haven't yet, I hope today will be the day I earn your subscription. We're pushing hard for 1 million, and there's just no way I can do it without you and without a lot of you. So we have a verdict in the case, and it ended up exactly like I thought it would be. He lost the case against the newspaper that called him a terrible thing. And he quote, I accept that he put her in fear of her life, a British judge wrote, dismissing the actor's libel case on Monday. I think, first of all, smash like if you think this is outrageous. Justice for Johnny has been robbed, and it actually gets worse. We're gonna take a look at that. So if you haven't been following it, essentially Johnny was married to Amber. I avoid using their full names because YouTube, anytime we talk about this, they suppress it. I wonder why. They had I don't think, obviously I don't care I think one person was worse than the other in this case. However, I think we could all be reasonable here and say that they're probably both pretty awful during this relationship. Hopefully they've both learned and grown. But when you have, Amber taking pictures of him with ice cream spilled on his shirt and staging photos, it just looked really sus. And the problem is with cases like this, with a liable case, it's extraordinarily difficult to win. These are things that you have to then prove that there has been actual damage done, which was probably very difficult for Johnny to do unless he could prove, it's like saying you have to prove you've been blackballed. But how do you do that? It's not like there's a memo sent out from Disney saying that. You'd have to convince a judge that, say, you lost the Pirates of the Caribbean role. Well, we don't know that for sure yet. You'd have to prove a lot of things. And the press basically gets to write whatever they want with very little consequence. We saw this with the kid, Nick Sandman, right? He did, quote unquote, win some cases. I don't really know what that looks like, though. They settled. What does that mean? Maybe he didn't get a dime. I don't know. Now, he lost his court case that claimed he was a terrible thing and claimed there was overwhelming evidence that he did the things Amber said during their marriage, which is absolutely, this is so crazy to me. Now, from Jump Street, I said he was going to lose this. I had very little faith that he was going to win it, just because I know how difficult these cases are. But what's more frustrating here is, what do you mean? What do you mean overwhelming? What do you mean overwhelming? I didn't see any. Did you? All we had was this one photo of what looks like some makeup. We saw zero evidence, in my opinion, that he ever raised a hand. Now, there were anecdotal stories that sounded like he obviously had a problem with the drink and things will get wild, but it also seemed like that was a two-way street. So I don't understand where this overwhelming evidence is. You know what I mean? What did I miss? I never said that Johnny was an amazing guy. I never said that their marriage was in a good place. I think that they were both very volatile and both guilty of some things. But I also stand by the fact that I don't think this newspaper had sufficient evidence that he was what they said he was. You know what I mean? You don't get to just print that and then wait till you see what's coming out today. It's insane. The judge also acknowledged the risk that Amber had taken in speaking up. I also accept that Amber's claims have a negative effect on her career and an activist. So this judge sounds like an SJW. He sounds like a beta male, beta female who was more concerned with protecting. Like, are you joking? You're joking if you think that Amber is the one that lost career opportunities. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Any idiot, anybody, you don't even have to cover, Hollywood insanity. Anybody would be able to tell you that there's a 0% chance Amber was going to face any backlash for this. We didn't see a single actor or actress come out and say anything. We didn't see a single film drop. None of it. In fact, we saw her closest friends abandon her for lying and taking their stories about remember how she took one of her assistants or a former employee's survival story and pretended it was her? Now, the newspaper's team argued that the claims in the article were accurate and true, and Amber did testify on the newspaper's behalf and said in pretrial claims that Johnny had done these things on 14 different occasions, but also Johnny denied all these, but the judge found that most of them did occur, even though no evidence was ever presented. Now, I understand that this type of situation is difficult to provide evidence for, but, all that CCTV footage that Johnny had didn't seem to clear his name. All of the testimony and corroborating stories that Johnny brought into court were seemingly ignored by this judge. Doesn't it seem that way? I mean, it absolutely seems that way to me. Now, Sasha Wass, the representation for the newspaper, told the court in her closing argument that Johnny's claims had come out about because of a dislike of her independence, as well as bad usage of the drink, which I believe is true. Obviously he has a problem with that, but who in Hollywood probably doesn't? She also said that Johnny had used so many substances that he may not even be aware of the extent of the things that he had done. So basically, he probably doesn't remember it, but it definitely happened. And we don't have any evidence of that happening, but it totally happened. And it seems like the judge sided with that. I knew it was a really low percentage chance for him to win this case, but it really is sad that they basically ignored mountains of evidence. And TMZ writes now that it could derail his career. He suffered a gigantic miscalculation and lost a suit in the UK in which he tried to clear his name. Now, here's the thing, and we're going to already see what's happening, and I'll show you in a second. But basically, just because he didn't win his libel suit, that doesn't mean that he was wrong or that Amber was right. It just means there wasn't enough evidence there. Unfortunately, you're going to see what's already happening is the media is basically saying, oh, this proves everything. Johnny filed the suit, and in multiple sources connected, Tim felt it was an enormous mistake because his career has been on the ropes during the AH split, and once it was over, he would get through okay. Or once it was over, he would get through okay. But for whatever reason, JD lawyered up and filed the case, which put these claims squarely on the table. So it went, and now it lost. Now he lost. Fact is, this isn't JD's only case involving these claims. He's still got a second case in the United States against AH. He's going after her for claiming. He's going to lose that too now, probably. Now JD is left convincing studios to forget all the claims and hire him to star in movies. In today's climate, that's a tall order. That's probably not untrue. I mean, I've got to be honest with you. That's probably not untrue. you know, what are they going to do? What is this going to do to Fantastic Beasts? Because for a lot of people, him losing this case confirms everything in their mind. And look what the Sun printed. JD was this horrible thing who also did horrible things to AH. Judge rules. Of course, the ratio is hilarious. 846 quote tweets to just 650 likes. They then followed up Sun spokesperson. The Sun has stood up and campaigned for people like AH for 20 years. They must never be silenced. And thanks to the judge and his careful consideration, and thank AH for her courage in giving her evidence in court. And you could see the ratios begin. The Sun, the scum. The whole thing was a joke. JD, voice recorded evidence, security cameras, 911 calls, pictures, thousands of it. And the judge ignored it all. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I have no words that could convey the damage you've done to those who think they might have a chance of speaking out against partners. Boycott the Sun, utter ridiculous decision. I mean, it's true. Very strange how she kept all this information like a get out of marriage rich, I think, was always on her mind. I've never heard of her until she was with him. Discussing, it's rubbish. Absolutely. He was innocent, who went through a terrible event. Look, I'm not claiming that JD was flawless in his behavior. Okay? I'm not claiming he didn't have a problem with the drink and things like that. But I still think that this magazine did commit libel against him, and he probably should have won this case. And it looks like, you know, it was a low percentage chance at winning. And now the media is taking this as a great opportunity to just say everything AH said was true and Johnny is an evil monster. And they're getting their proper just desserts as well. We'll have to follow and see what happens with Fantastic Beasts, and we'll have to see what happens with the personal trial, but I don't think it's looking good for that either at this point. This is just a sad day, as justice, in my opinion, was absolutely not served. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.